There is a whisper in the silence of your life, a quiet breath beneath the noise, a sacred pulse beating gently in the unseen. You may not always feel it, but it is there. And though you cannot always see the plan, you must learn to trust it. We live in a world that worships the visible, the explainable, the measured and proven, but the most important parts of life, the turning points, the miracles, the awakenings arrive in mystery. They come not with a roadmap, but with a whisper, not with a schedule, but with a feeling. And if you are still enough, present enough, humble enough, you will know the plan has always been unfolding perfectly, even through your tears. There is a plan for your life, not one carved in stone by fate, but one made of fluid grace, co-created by your highest self and the divine intelligence that breathes through everything. And this plan, dear soul, is not always revealed to the eyes. It is revealed to the heart. That deeper heart that knows beyond reason, that sacred knowing that lives within your spirit, not your logic. Your ego wants a blueprint. Your soul offers trust. You see, trust is not blind faith. It is inner sight. It is the decision to lean into something greater, even when all you see is darkness. The tree does not panic when winter comes. It does not shake in fear because the leaves are gone. It knows spring is part of the plan. It trusts the unseen cycle. And you too are part of a rhythm far older and wiser than your worries. You have not missed your path. Even your detours have divine fingerprints. Even your heartbreaks were not random, they were sacred interruptions. Gentle, though painful, redirects. For what you call delays may in truth be divine timing, what you call loss may in truth be protection, and what you call failure might just be the very doorway your soul came here to walk through. There is intelligence in the unfolding, a wisdom that stretches beyond your perception. When the caterpillar is dissolving in its cocoon, it cannot imagine the wings. In fact, it feels like death. But transformation often does. To the ego, endings are terrifying, but to the soul, they are sacred, necessary. Birth rarely looks like birth. In the moment, it looks like chaos, like letting go, like everything falling apart. And so, when you're standing in the hallway between who you were and who you're becoming, when the doors are closed and the lights are dim and the answers haven't arrived, breathe. Not everything sacred comes with certainty, but everything sacred comes with guidance if you're willing to trust. That still small voice within you, that's not your imagination, that's your compass, that's your alignment. And it's speaking to you always, in the quiet moments, in the tears you don't understand, in the moments that make no sense to the world. Follow that voice, even when others can't hear it, especially then. For the truth is, not everyone will understand your journey, but they don't need to. It was never their path to walk. You are not here to be understood, you are here to be aligned. You are not here to control the plan, you are here to trust the current. Life is not about knowing what's next. It's about honoring what's now, and in the now is everything you need to grow. Let go of the need to see the entire staircase. Just take the next step. The path will appear as you walk it. The plan will reveal itself not to the mind that demands it, but to the heart that surrenders. Stop gripping so tightly to your idea of how things should look. The universe doesn't work in straight lines. It flows in spirals, in symbols, in synchronicities. And just because it's not unfolding the way you imagined, doesn't mean it's not unfolding exactly as it should. There is a season for planting and a season for harvesting, but in between there is a season of waiting, a season of stillness, a time when nothing makes sense and yet everything is being rearranged. You are in the divine waiting room. And just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean it won't. It simply means the room you're about to enter requires a different version of you. That's why you've been asked to release, to surrender, to let go of what you thought was permanent, because the plan requires space, and sometimes the universe will remove what you cling to, not to punish you, but to prepare you. You were never meant to build your identity on what can be taken. Your true self is not the job, the relationship, the title, the story. Your true self is eternal. It cannot be lost. And when all else falls away, what remains is truth. So don't fear the unraveling. Don't curse the silence. There is sacredness in the unknown. There is design in the delay. And if you could zoom out far enough, if you could see what your soul sees, you'd fall to your knees in gratitude. You'd weep with relief. You'd laugh at your worries. You'd realize every step, even the ones you questioned most, brought you home. And so I say to you, as gently and firmly as I can, trust it. Trust the pauses, trust the detours, trust the people who leave, trust the doors that don't open, trust the timing that feels too slow, trust the whispers more than the noise. Trust the silence more than the scream. Trust the plan even when you can't see it, especially then. Because you are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. And when the preparation feels like pain, let yourself remember this. The soul speaks in symbols, not explanations. It moves through experience, not reasoning. So if life has taken something from you, it has not done so in cruelty, it has done so in alignment. What the ego sees as loss, the soul recognizes as clearing. What your eyes may not yet see is that you're being emptied, not to be diminished, but to be filled anew. The plan is not always logical, but it is always luminous. It is the light behind the storm, the current beneath the chaos. It leads you into places your mind would never choose, but that your heart will one day thank you for. Because there are truths the soul can only touch in stillness. There are awakenings that only happen in the dark. And though your instinct may be to flee discomfort, healing lives inside the discomfort you are willing to face. You don't need all the answers to move forward. You need only the willingness to walk in faith, to say yes to the mystery, to bow to the unknown not as an enemy but as a teacher. There is no true transformation without surrender, no real peace without release. Trust does not mean you understand. Trust means you allow. You allow the unfolding to teach you, to remake you, to break you open in all the right places. There is no wasted season in the eyes of the divine. Even in your waiting, you are growing. Even in your confusion, you are being led. The moments that stretch you beyond what you thought you could bear are often the ones that reveal your truest self, the self beneath the noise, the self beyond the roles, the self that remembers its eternal origin. That self doesn't need to see the plan to know it's safe. It knows it is the plan. You see, you are not separate from the intelligence of the universe. You are not some lost being trying to find your way back to God. You are not missing anything. You are not late. You are not behind. You are the presence of Source in motion. You are the breath of the infinite in human form. And the very moment you surrender the illusion of control, you open the floodgates of support. Because the plan was never built around your ego, it was designed to awaken your spirit. The ego wants certainty, the soul wants expansion. And so life will not always feel safe to the ego, but it will always be sacred to the soul. Your disappointments are not punishments. They are instructions. And every instruction is whispered in the language of the heart. Listen deeply, not with your ears, but with your being. The truth is never loud. It comes softly, like a breeze moving across the stillness of a lake. You don't chase truth, you become still enough to receive it. There will be moments when the wind changes suddenly, when the ground beneath you trembles, when the walls you leaned on crumble like paper. In those moments, let go of the idea that life has gone wrong. Let go of the illusion that you were ever fully in control. What is falling away was never yours to hold forever. What remains after the storm, that is what's real. And I want to tell you this, with every fiber of my being, you are not alone in the waiting. Every soul that has walked this earth has walked through the valley of not knowing. Even the enlightened have cried in the dark. Even the awakened have doubted. So don't shame your uncertainty. See it as holy ground. See your doubt as a doorway, not a detour. Let your questions become your teachers. Because you were never meant to have all the answers. You were meant to become a space where love could answer through you. And love, the truest love, doesn't always give you clarity right away. Sometimes it gives you depth. Sometimes it gives you resilience. Sometimes it gives you nothing but a soft inner voice saying, keep going, I am here. When the outer world feels barren, when nothing makes sense, when your prayers seem to echo into a void, return to that voice, that knowing within you, that stillness that cannot be shaken. There is a center in you that has never been wounded, a core of calm beneath every storm, and from that place you will rise, not because you forced it, but because you surrendered to what was already rising in you. You don't need to see the next 10 steps. The path is not revealed in its entirety because it is not walked with the mind, it is walked with the soul. And the soul walks not in certainty, but in wonder, not in timelines, but in trust. Every time you choose presence over panic, acceptance over resistance, faith over fear, you align with that higher path. You come into harmony with the plan you were born to walk. This life is not a puzzle to be solved. It is a mystery to be embraced. And mystery is not the absence of meaning, it is the fullness of meaning beyond the mind's grasp. So rest your weary thinking, let your intellect bow to your intuition. Let your striving dissolve into softness. There is a plan, beloved. You don't always have to see it, you only need to be it. The tree does not grow by understanding the Sunday, it grows by opening to it. And you too are meant to grow not by dissecting the divine, but by opening your heart to it. There is light streaming toward you even now. There are roots growing even when you feel still. Trust that the seeds you've planted in faith will bloom when the season is right. And if the night feels too long, let it be long. Let it be sacred. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And in that planting, in that sacred burial beneath the surface of all things seen, something miraculous begins to happen. A soft unraveling, a letting go of all that was never truly you, the masks, the timelines, the constant trying. You begin to remember that your worth was never tied to your progress. Your value never depended on how clearly you could map the road ahead. You begin to feel quietly, humbly that your very presence is enough. Because, dear soul, this life is not a test you must pass. It is a dance you are meant to feel. And sometimes the music is loud and joyful, and sometimes it is faint, barely perceptible beneath the noise of your worry, but it is always there, playing, calling you inward, asking you not to control the rhythm, but to surrender to it, to trust that even the steps that feel uncertain are still part of the choreography. The plan is not always pretty. It does not always arrive wrapped in clarity. Sometimes it shows up as confusion, as loss, as the door you wanted to walk through locking itself just before you reached it. And in those moments, your old self will scream for answers, will demand reasons. But the awakened self, the soul self, will whisper instead, let go. Something greater is coming. You see, there are delays that protect your destiny. There are endings that save your soul. And there are unanswered prayers that are actually grace in disguise. You cannot always see it in the moment. In the moment it hurts. In the moment it feels like rejection. But from the higher view, from the seat of your soul, it is redirection, recalibration, realignment with the truth of who you really are. And who you are is not broken. Who you are is not lost. Who you are is a divine expression of infinite intelligence, learning how to remember itself. Every challenge you face is not evidence of your failure. It is evidence of your becoming. The fire in your life is not there to destroy you. It is there to burn away the illusion that you are ever less than whole. So when it all feels like too much, come back to this breath, this moment, this now. The ego lives in the future, and the past, it feeds on what was and what could be, but the soul lives in now. And in the now, there is no fear. In the now, there is only presence. There is only breath. There is only the awareness that you are still here, and that means the plan is still unfolding. The more you return to now, the more you align with the flow. And in that flow, you stop pushing, you stop striving, you start trusting. You start remembering that you are already carried, already guided, already enough. The universe is not demanding you to prove your worth, it's inviting you to remember it. And when you remember, when you really remember, something shifts. You no longer need to see around every corner. You no longer need every answer laid out in neat lines. You start to feel the sacred rhythm of surrender. You begin to see with new eyes, the ones that don't ask, what's next, but instead ask, what is here now? What is here now, waiting for your attention? What lesson, what healing, what expansion is this moment offering you, disguised beneath the surface? Look not with fear, but with faith. Because when you look through the lens of trust, even the darkest moment reveals its hidden light. This trust is not passive, it is the most courageous act of your soul. It is the audacity to keep loving, even when you've been hurt, to keep opening, even when you've been closed, to keep walking, even when you can't see the path. It is not weak to surrender. It is divine strength. The kind of strength that comes not from force, but from alignment. And yes, you will forget. You will fall back into the mind's illusions. You will crave control. You will feel fear. But each time, you can return. You can realign. You can remember, you don't have to carry it all. You never did. You are not the planner. You are the participant in something far wiser than your mind could ever grasp. The moon does not control the tide, it simply responds to the pull. The flower does not force itself to bloom. It opens when the sun calls it. And you, dear one, are just the same. You are not here to force. You are here to allow, to say yes, to release your grip on how you think it should be and step into the peace of Howard Island, because the peace doesn't come when you figure it all out. It comes when you stop needing to, when you no longer trade the joy of this moment for the illusion of a controlled future. When you realize that the mystery is not your enemy, it is your sanctuary. It is the place where all things are born. So if you find yourself in a place where nothing makes sense, where the plan feels absent, where clarity is nowhere to be found, good. You are in sacred territory. You are being invited to step beyond your understanding and into your essence. You are being asked to live from your spirit, not your script. And your spirit knows the way, even when your eyes do not. So let the mind rest now. Let it settle like sediment in a still lake. You do not need to think your way into alignment. You need only feel your way back home. There is no pressure here, no performance, just a soft returning to your center. The place within you that is always known long before words that something sacred is holding you, guiding you, becoming you. You are never meant to carry the burden of clarity alone. That is the role of the divine. Your task is not to define the destination, but to bring your full presence to the step you're on. Even when that step feels uncertain, even when it leads you through valleys you did not choose, for the valleys are not punishment, they are deepening. They are the fertile grounds where humility, trust, and grace take root. Sometimes life will ask you to walk blind, to move without a map, to release every plan you so carefully crafted. Not because it wants to watch you fall, but because it wants to teach you how to fly without wings you can see. How to rest in an invisible wind that lifts only when you stop resisting it. You may feel empty in those moments, but it is a holy emptiness, the kind that makes room for truth. And truth, when it arrives, doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, it simply enters you quietly, like light through a crack in the wall. Suddenly, what felt like despair begins to soften. What seemed like the end begins to feel like a beginning disguised. You find yourself smiling, not because everything is perfect, but because you've stopped needing it to be. You've remembered the peace that has nothing to do with circumstances and everything to do with surrender. Trust, then, is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of purpose. Even when you are aching, even when your knees hit the ground, the universe is not absent. It is present in the ache. It is whispering through the tears, this is the shedding, this is the rebirth. And if you allow it, the very pain you tried to escape will become the doorway you walk through to your most radiant self. For the plan is not simply about outcomes, it is about becoming. It's not just about where you end up, it's about who you are on the journey. And you, dear soul, are not here to chase perfection. You are here to remember wholeness. To remember that nothing real can be taken from you and nothing false can truly sustain you. You are here to drop the mask and step into your sacred nakedness, the divine self that needs no decoration to be worthy. And how freeing it is when you stop trying to make everything happen and instead allow life to meet you where you are. To drop the heavy armor of control and simply say, I trust. Not as the last resort, but as your first response. Not as something to reach for in crisis, but as the posture of your spirit. A trust so deep that even the chaos becomes holy. This is not passivity, it is powerful receptivity. It is aligning your will with the will of the infinite, and knowing that your soul's blueprint is not a product of your fears, but a design of love. There is no corner of your path that has been forgotten. No chapter of your story that is wasted. Even the parts you wish you could erase are threads in the sacred tapestry of your unfolding. And what a beautiful unfolding at Island. Not neat, not linear, not always understood by the world, but glorious in its honesty, authentic in its messiness. You are not here to impress, you are here to express, to embody, to reflect the divine, not by being flawless, but by being real, by being awake, by being willing to walk through the dark with your heart still open. The plan was never to make you perfect in the eyes of others. The plan was to awaken you to the perfection that lives behind your eyes. To help you see yourself as the universe sees you, radiant, whole, evolving, divine. You don't need to do more to become that. You need only remove what blocks you from seeing that it's already true. And so, let life remove it. Let life peel back what no longer serves. Let it take the roles you outgrew, the stories that kept you small, the expectations that made you forget your light. Don't cling to what is leaving. Don't mourn the false security of the known. What you release makes room for what is real, for what has always been yours. The path ahead may not be visible, but the presence within you is unshakable. It is the spark of God breathing through your being, guiding you not through logic, but through resonance, through intuition, through a peace that passes understanding. Trust that. Follow that. The world may ask you to justify your path, but your soul only asks you to walk it quietly, boldly, with love. Not everyone will see the plan. They don't have to. It wasn't given to them. It was whispered into your heart, into your dreams, into the quiet moments when you were too still to pretend. So stop pretending now. Let the truth breathe through you. Let the mystery be enough. Let your trust become the sanctuary where your soul finally rests. And as you rest in that sanctuary where striving ends and surrender begins, you begin to feel something ancient stirring, a kind of remembering, not in the mind, but in the marrow of your being. A knowing that was never taught to you because it was never lost. You begin to recall that life isn't something happening to you. Life is happening through you, with you, for you. Every moment, every breath, every detour is a brushstroke in the great masterpiece of your soul's becoming, and you don't need to step back to see it all. You only need to trust that the hand holding the brush knows exactly what it's doing. Even the colors you never would have chosen, even the lines that feel like mistakes, they belong. They all belong. And as you stand in the middle of your becoming, you may not always feel graceful. You may wobble, you may question, you may want to turn back, but remember this, growth is not graceful. It is sacredly messy, like birth, like the tide reshaping the shore, like the tree surrendering its leaves for a season it cannot yet see. You are not broken in these moments, you are becoming whole. You see, we've been taught to fear the unknown, to label the unclear as danger. But what if the unknown is not a void but a womb? What if the darkness isn't a sign that you're lost, but a space where the seeds of your next becoming are gestating? Can you rest